Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be continuing our series in Django web app development. Django is a Python web application framework. It's a framework used in developing very fast and scalable web application. And that is what we're going to be learning. We've already done some things earlier, but we're going to look at them again and continue from where we stopped. So I'm going to quickly share my screen so that we can start. Can we all see my screen? Okay. So I'm going to open up my VS Code, and what we did yesterday was that we followed the steps here. We created a new folder on the desktop and called that folder full Django. And you can see the folder here, full Django. That's what I have. And the next thing we did was that we now opened that very folder in VS Code, and that is what I have here. You can see full Django is opened in VS Code. Then the next step we took was that we did Python space -m pip install Django. That's how you install Django. So immediately you put that here, Django will be installed. And the next thing we did was that we did Python space -m Django --version. So once you do that, it's going to tell you that the version of Django we are using is 3.1. Then after that, the next thing we did was to start the web application, and the name of the website is poster. So the command we use is Django-admin start project poster. So if this was to be another thing, you would have put the name of the website here. So immediately after doing that, we will now see our project directory, which is actually what we see here. You see the main poster, and you see another poster here. So inside the inner poster, you also have init.py, and I told us what these files, what they do. You also have the manage.py that you can use in running your server. So those are the things we have, and this is where we explain what these files do. Then immediately after that, we'll now see this into the poster, and we'll run our server by saying python manage.py.run server, and that is what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to cd into the poster web application. So once you cd, you're going to see poster here. Then I'm going to run server by doing python manage.py run server, so that my website will be up. So once it's up, that's when we can start continuing with the other steps. So all the steps we are giving there on our website, www.jamboeknekouni.com. You can just put the website and do /Django-steps. You see all the steps. So prepare this to make it very simple. The web application we are doing is the web application that is in Django website. If you go to djangoproject.org, you're going to see this same thing. So that is what we are going to start with. Immediately after creating that very first website, it's the initial website, we are now going to use Django to do more interesting things. But we are starting with that because that is most basic to help us understand how the Django works, how we can do the install the project and start up our project. That's why we're using that. So after that, we should be able to do other things. Okay. So once you do Python manage.py run server, it's going to perform system checks, and after it's going to open the development server at port 8000. So this number 127.0.1 simply stands for 127.0.0.1 stands for localhost, and the port number is 8000. So if you control click on this, you should be able to see the website. So let's get back. Okay, you can see it now. It has done performing system checks and everything. So it's here now. So if I now hold down the control key on your keyboard, then click here. You can double click to make sure that you've clicked it. So this website will open now. Okay, so the website is open. This very basic website that is open is your Django web application. So this is your poster web application. So we're going to write the first view so that this will change. So this is where we stopped yesterday. But we're going to continue from here. So the next thing we did was that actually we now created an app inside the project, and we say that Django, the way Django works is that the web pages, they stand for app. You know that a website is made up of many web pages, isn't it? In Django, a web application is made up of plenty web apps. You understand? So if inside your website you're supposed to have a blog, you have to create a blog app. And to create an app, you simply say Python manage.py start app. Then you put the name of the app. So the name of the app I'm creating here is Pose. So I now use this code I wrote under here. So what I did was that I opened another bash terminal so that my development server will be running on the other bash terminal. That's why I opened. So to open a new bash terminal, just click this plus. So this is where I am, folder Django. So I quickly CD also into my poster. That's where you have to be if you want to run your development server or continue any development. So make sure that you're in poster. So in poster now, what I now did was that I then ran this command, python manage.py start up pose. So immediately I did that, I'm able now to have this other application pose. You can see it here. Once you see it, you do it, it will have it. So if you click here, you're going to see the files that have been created, your app.py, model.py, because Python is using what we call model view control system architecture. So that's why we'll have this. So this is your first app that you've created inside the web page. The other app, which is the poster app, is the main application for the website or for the web application. Okay, so having done start app pose, you'll be able to see all these which I've shown you. So what we are doing today is writing our first view. That's what we are doing today. That's today's class, writing our first view. And you're going to see that in this my website, Django Ekene, I explained this in such a way that you can easily write the view very easily. So if you read out what is here, I say write your first view. This I actually got from a Django website. If you check Django website, you see the same step. Like I said, the first one we are doing exactly what is on the Django website so that you can understand how the structure is. And subsequently, we can do other applications using Django. So you say, write your first view. Let's write the first view. Open the file pose/views.py. This is the file you're supposed to open. The views.py in pose. So to do that, I simply get back here. This is pose. The view.py in pose is this one. So this is where I'm supposed to write. So I click on it. You see it open the views.py. So you can see this is the initial code that was there. But to write the view, there is already a code here. So this is the code I'm supposed to use for the view. Are you seeing it? So from Django down to this place, that's the view I need. So I'm going to take it out and you see what it wrote here. This is the simplest view possible in Django. To call the view, you need to map its URL. And for this, we need a URL conf. So we're going to get to this. Now, to create the URL conf in your post directly, create a file called url.py. Your app directly should now look like this. So first of all, let me get this and put it in the view.py as directed. So I'm going to select everything here so that I can replace everything with what I just copied. So this is the view, basic view file. Though I'm now gonna do Control S to save. Make sure you save. So see what happens was that from Django.http, because we want to start making HTTP requests, we imported HTTP response. Then we define a basic function, and that function is having the index, which is the index view. Then we are returning what? HTTP response. And inside it, what we are supposed to see is hello world. You are at the post index. So we are going to try to see this. But who can notice a problem in this? Can anybody notice a problem in this quickly before we continue? Can everybody notice a problem in this function that we declared? Anybody? Okay. Can anybody notice any problem here? Huh? Okay, I just indented, so there should be indentation after the declaration of the function. So I think that's the problem, and that's what I just took care of. Okay, so from what we are seeing here, so after creating this first view, we now need to create a URL config in the post directly. So to be able to do this, we need to create urls.py. So how do you create urls.py inside your post directory? That's what we're trying to do. That's what we try to do. urls.py. So this is your post directly. Can you see it? Your post directly. Can you see the files that are there? There's nothing like urls.py. So to do that, I'll click on this post. So once I'm on this post highlighted, I'm going to click on new file. Then I'm going to put what? urls.py. That's what the instruction says. So once I press enter, it's going to open up. So once it opens up, I'm going to now put in the instruction that should be there. So your app directly should now look like this. Inside post, you should have what? Init, admin, apps, migration, URL, views, text, and model. Okay. So inside that urls.py that you created that is inside post, include the following code. You can see the code that is included. So from here, from Django import paths down to this place. So this is the code that is supposed to be inside your url.py. So I'm going to quickly come here and put in the code. So you can see it's importing path from the package django.urls. Then from all, import view. It's also importing view because we want to refer to the view from these URLs. So these are the basic thing that is done here. So when I get back, the next step is to point the root URL conf at the post.urls module in the main site, which is the post.urls.py. So add an import for django.urls, include and insert and include in the URL pattern list so that you can have this. So simply go to the poster, which is the main app. The URL is inside the main app, which is poster. We'll now put this line of code. So I'll pick up the code. You can see where the reference is on, poster/urls.py. So I get back here. So under my poster, you can see poster here. Let me close up all this. So this is the first poster, the main app poster, which is this second one. There is urls.py. Okay. So I'm supposed to put in that very code that is there. So I'm going to quickly take out all this so that this will be very clear. So I'm going to quickly put in the code that I picked out. So I'm going to put it in a comment so that you can understand it before we eventually use it. So you can see the command, what it's saying. From Django contrib import admin, which is what we already have here. Then from Django URLs, import include and path. It's the only part that was done here. So we'll now include, also include in it. Then you now have path directing us to the admin. And finally, to the post. So, which means what this basically means is that we are going to take out this and have just this. So that is what we're supposed to do. So let me quickly indent it properly before I take the other one out. So this is the code you are supposed to have. So I'm going to quickly take this out. So that I'll have just this. And like I said, this is gotten, the steps are already here. This is the step I just picked now. So please take note. So make sure you have this. I'm going to go back to url.py, the one in post. Make sure that this is indented. So I save this. I go over to this side. I also save. Okay. So what we did first was that we created the view. Then after creating the view, we use the URL, which is the we want to be able to point to that very view. So that's what we did here. So if we follow this, you will now see that the include function allows referencing for this. So whenever Django encounters include, it chops off whatever part of the URL masked up to that point and sends the remaining string to the include URL config for further processing. The idea behind the include is to make it easy to plug and play URLs. Since polls are in their own URLs, they can be placed under polls and under form polls or under content/polls and other parts. We have now wired an index view into the URL config. Verify it to see that it's working. So how do you verify? We simply do what? Python manage.py run server. So once we run, we'll put this very URL. But we know that we've already run our python.py manage.run server is already running somewhere, which is in the second terminal. So you can see I have batch number 2 here. So batch number 1 is having this. So let me quickly get this this URL so that I check whether this first view that I've written is working. So this is the initial one working. So I can simply come here, open up a new browser, and in the address bar I paste this because I want to get to polls. So let me see whether that view is working. So if I press the enter key, since my development server is already running, it should show. Okay, I have localhost 8000. Okay. Okay, let me just say inside this one that is already learning, let me do /polls because that is where it is pointing. So /polls, enter. Let's see whether we can see the view. Okay, the view is not showing yet. /post/. Okay, there has to be a slash after the post. So take note. So let's exhaust it and see. /. Okay. So site cannot be reached. So let's quickly get back and make sure that we've saved this. Make sure that we also save this. Okay, so once we are done with that, let's restart our development server. So maybe the changes was not seen by that. So let's restart our development. So to restart our development server, what do? You say Python space manage.py space what? Run server. So that's how we restart our development server. So let's run it and see whether the okay. You can see there's an error. Line 6. Okay. So please let's correct all this. This is a double quote. Let's make these corrections before we continue. Okay. So please, because I got this, I copied this from the site. So some of these single quotes and double quotes, they are not written the right way. So let me try and make these corrections before we run. Okay. So if you look closely, you're going to observe what I'm doing. Okay. think this is done too, so I'm gonna save. Okay, so you can see it's reloading now. Let me still go through. URLs.py inside post. Okay, there should be just single quote too here. Okay, so saving again. Okay, invalid hello world. So I get back to my views. Okay, so you can see why we're having this issue is because we copied the text base. The signs are not properly written. So I'm going to save again. So you can see it's reloading. Once you save, it does hot reload. So let's see. Okay, so it's working now. It's working properly now. So let me get back to my website. So this is /post. Okay, you can see hello world. You are the index post. So this has this view, this first view is working properly. So let me also test it here. Okay, it's also working here. So whether I'm using the local host by numbers or I copied and put the address, it's still working. So let me go through what I did again so that all of us can get it. So what did we start with? We started by creating the views. And to create the view, what do? We simply went under post. You see the views.py there. So inside the views.py, you have this code. And this code you already know, like I said, is on the website. This is the first code we use. Writing our first view. This is where we started for today. Let's write your first view. So this is the code. So please, if you paste this code, it might not show exactly the way it is here. So you have to make the necessary corrections, which was what we did first. So make sure your code is looking exactly like this. So once you do that, you now need to write the URL that will point to that view. And that's why we went to under post, we clicked new file and created urls.py. So inside url.py, we have this code, which I also edited to make sure that it's not functioning badly. So that means that this URL is pointing to this very view. But to see it on the general website, you need to go to the URLs of the general website of the main app, which is under poster. So simply go under the second poster, the first one, the second one, which is the main app. You click, you see urls.py. So inside this, you now write this code. So if you open it, you're going to see the main one, the admin. That's the only URL part that is there. But we want to include that of post, which we nearly created. And that is what we did here. So once you do this and rerun your server by doing Python space manage.py/run server, it will run. So once it's running, for you to be able to access that very view that you created, you need to go and inside on top of your address that you already have, just simply say /post/ so that you can see this view. So I'm going to allow us time to okay. So the three files that we worked on, views.py inside post, urls.py inside post app also, then the urls.py inside the poster main application. So these are the three main apps. So make sure you have your code exactly the way they are. So once they're exactly the way they are here, simply run, but make sure you're inside the right directory, run Python space manage.py space run server. So this should run. So I'm going to quickly go to your box, check what you're doing, and make sure you're doing the right thing. If you have any issue, when we reconvene again, you ask your questions. So we're going to go through explaining it again. But I'm going to make sure that everybody do this first before we continue. Thank you. Any question from people joining us online? so that we can take care of it together. Okay, so reward the video and take the steps that I just took, so that we can. Yes.
Sir, I'm calling from home. I'm sick. I'll come in the evening.
No problem.
It's Ahmad that is talking.
Okay, Ahmad, yeah.
So I wanted to create another URLs under Fullstar. I couldn't. They say folder already exists. Something like that.
No, under poster, you don't need to create a new one. It's already there. So you just impute this in the file. You're only creating it for the other one for post app. In the post app, that's where you need to create URLs. But in the post app, it already came with the URLs, this very one. So you just click on it and replace what is there with what I gave you from the website.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll reconvene and we'll continue. Thank you. God bless.